Hi, I'm Perry Tevens. I'm the CEO of Revai. Revai is based in Montreal, Canada, and we're developing a non-invasive approach to vagus nerve stimulation. This is TA-VNS, which is stimulating the symbicontia around the ear. We think there's a lot of areas that could be addressed, both non-FDA as well as FDA in the future. What we're combining are some common technologies that are out there in the true wireless stereo space. These are earbuds that everybody uses today. They're evolving quite quickly. And we're building a platform to support TA-VNS on that kind of hardware platform. You're all familiar with the vagus nerve and the benefits of stimulating the vagus nerve. Our approach is to take advantage of the research that has taken place in this space. It's been around a long time. We know that there's an approach to reducing anxiety, improving attention, accelerating learning, and enhancing memory. And our initial target is in the education space: university, secondary education, and adult learning. As discussed, we're focused on learning and wellness applications initially, and then we're going to build the platform and adhere to FDA and 510K for future indications as the technology develops. So why TWS? There's a lot of reasons. It's a fast-growing market. It's growing. It's anticipated to be about $305 billion market. Half of the units sold are high-end units that are extremely powerful for acoustic elements and microphone and noise cancellation. But we want to be a part of referencing the hardware design around these platforms and building the software platform to support it. True wireless products are moving towards biometric support and EEG compatible design. There's kind of a Moore's Law effect taking place in this market, where the SoCs are becoming much more powerful, the batteries are becoming more powerful, and they'll support the addition of these different features. The market size we're pursuing have large adjacent markets in the education platform market as well as the wellness market, where we can seek out integration with partners in those areas. We have a lot of service provider feedback. There's a motivation on their part to improve their customer experiences, potentially through TA-VNS, as well as reducing any churn on their platforms. This is kind of how it works. We do some integration. We focus on open loop stimulation initially with a companion app. That stimulation occurs obviously on the TWS earbud. And eventually, once the EEGs are in place, whether we use an EEG on the earbud itself or it's coming from another source, we look to integrate that into a full loop stimulation. And of course, that'll inform the AI/ML models that we build as well. Again, the markets we're focused on are largely education initially. And the competition in this space is largely device oriented. There are companies that you recognize in this slide. We're moving this more to a direct-to-consumer model. And initially, we'll build a Halo product with ODM partners that are already in place. And we'll eventually start licensing the technology. So the three core areas are patents around how we stimulate through the device itself, and the AI/ML model, the software platform. Our go-to-market strategy is largely, as I said, to build a Halo product, initially control the end-to-end experience, keep the cost and the burn as low as we can. Once that's demonstrated, I have quite a bit of experience doing licensing deals with large companies. You have to take that first step first in order to get a licensing deal with any of the notable tier ones and twos in the OEM space. We'll pursue pursue partnerships with subscriptions, as well as partnerships with leading platform providers for revenue share. Our revenue plan is to start off with Next year is just we've already got our prototypes in production. We're developing that with our production partners. We hope to be in the market in 2024. We'll be selling, as I said, a product along with a subscription model, and then these other revenue streams come into place the following years. Our team is largely based in Montreal. There's good benefits to that. We have a very talented team of PhD level engineers and researchers such as Naya and Sean. We draw from the universities in the area, such as McGill University. We formulated an advisory board as well of industry leaders on the platform side. And we have tight relationships and partnerships with research institutions and universities like McGill, University of Toronto, and UC San Diego. We're also part of the Tandem Launch Incubation Program, which is similar to Y Combinator. They make the seed or the pre-seed investment and then follow on with recruiting a CEO and building out the company. So we think this approach means that we can get TA-VNS to consumers quicker, and we can start evolving the platform, the technology towards other indications. Today, we're looking for a 2.5 million Canadian seed round. And what's unusual about operating out of Montreal or Canada is this notion of SR&ED tax rebates. We can actually recover up to almost 75% of our R&D expense on an annual basis. So we need a little bit less money to really take the company a lot further. So that's all I have for you today.
Sure. All right, so before we scan the room for questions, I have a couple that I'd like to ask you.
Go right ahead.
The first has to do with anatomy. There've been some studies and some back and forth on where exactly the auricular branch of the vagus nerve is closest to the surface, right? And I'm sure you guys have studied that, but do you want to say a little bit about your approach versus some of the other vendors of TA-VNS, ear clips, et cetera? What are the pros and cons of, of actually accessing that nerve? Are there different responses at different points of location of that branch? Et cetera. I'm sure you guys have studied.
We have.
What have you found?
Industrial design is very important at this stage because we're targeting the Symbicontia. And you have to get a really good electrode positioning in that region in order to be effective with stimulation. Monolithic devices or purpose-built devices will often clamp a region of the ear, and we want this to be more useful and a better utility for the consumer.
Again, the second question I have for you has to do with kind of a two-tiered strategy, which I think is a brilliant strategy, but comes with risks, right? So the idea of a wellness product, which does not require FDA approval or clearance, but conversely, is not going to get any reimbursement from CMS. But then again, it's enough that people can pay, out of pocket. On the other hand, when you move towards a medical device, which of course you would be, my presumption is you'd be looking for a higher price point, and you'd be looking to get reimbursement from our good friends at CMS. And so what are some of the considerations that you and maybe other startups who are thinking about a two-tiered strategy? Is there a risk that in offering a consumer wellness version of the device, that CMS will say, oh, you're not DME because one of the 5, we're going to actually talk about this tomorrow in Jeremy's session, but one of the 5 requirements for being classified as DME is what they call durable medical equipment, but what it really means is stuff you use at home, right? Stuff that you can buy. You don't have to be in the hospital. It's durable, so you use it in the home. One of the 5 requirements from CMS is, your device has to be specific to a particular indication. So I'm just curious if you could just talk about the pros and cons of that two-tiered strategy with respect to your eventual reimbursement plans.
Sure. So the wireless platform is pretty well known, right? How you
Yep.
communicate with it, and we're going to assist in some design parameters around the electrodes. It's a faster path to market. We can get to a bigger audience, and it can inform our platform much quicker. The platform will be designed to be device agnostic to an
Okay.
extent, right? So we can work with other partners or OEMs to get on their products.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, but will you promise us this when you go to, or when you go to FDA and later to describe your device, promise us you'll have a useful life of at least 3 years. I'm making a joke here. It's an inside joke, but one of the companies that was trying to get reimbursement for their,
Rheumatoid arthritis?
no,
Oh,
actually,
okay. Well, there's another one.
okay, so it was 2. No, I was thinking of a headache company
Okay.
that put on their website, oh yeah, 18 months. And well, there's a 3-year minimum. So CMS used that as a reason to deny coverage.
Right.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've been hogging the mic, and Jojo was going to give me a hard time for that. So who else in the room has a question for Perry? That's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true. Yes, Gretchen, you. No, but the people on Zoom can hear you. So.
I'm just curious on, you showed a slide how you're using apps with it. And so I'm just curious how you're using the apps. Are you stimulating and using an app like Calm, or how is that working?
So those apps have sonic attributes, right? And they're using TWS to deliver audio. So we plan to integrate on the app side of it on the device itself and communicate through Bluetooth.
Great.
So we'll do an integration on the app side. Does that make sense?
No, we don't have a question. We just have someone saying hi. All right. Any other questions from folks in the room? Any questions? Jeremy, Loudon, nobody on Zoom has any questions for this very interesting Canadian startup. All right. Well, then one last thing. What are your plans for the Canadian market and how it might differ in terms of the regulatory environment, the reimbursement environment, the consumer environment?
Yeah,
Canada
we're
versus
not
US?
we're not pursuing in the consumer area reimbursement. What we're pursuing is a direct path to selling direct to consumer.
DTC.
Direct to consumer through an education market. So we will be partnering with educational retail.
You mean in Canada, or do you mean in both countries?
Both countries.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks very much, Greg.
Okay, thank you.